Alright, welcome to the stream here, folks. This is Bad at Fighting Games Presents One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast, episode 6, Fighting Game Dev Roundtable, plus Guilty Gear Delayed. I'm Raisin B-Man, a guy who passed his exams. If you want to chat while the podcast is being streamed, you can join me live on Twitch at Raisin B-Man. Let's go ahead and get into our ad here. Screen markers are working. All right, yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks. With this podcast, I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart, for free. Doesn't really have that many returns, but if you'd like, we can change that, and really you can show me how much more effort I should be putting into this, and how much you folks like it, because I've been experimenting with some stuff, and I've already found immediate returns in other industries, and it seems like streaming, as much fun as it is to do, a little bit more time intensive. The time effort ratio compared to getting paid is not that great. So if you want to keep this podcast around and this sort of thing around, that is one way to do it, is by putting in your Amazon Prime, your Twitch gaming subscription, to make sure that I know that you value this sort of thing. But as you can definitely toss that Twitch Prime, it's Twitch Gaming now, that Twitch gaming subscription to any channel. Amazon does remind you of it, to a Kind of Funny, a Giant Bomb, Easy Allies. It doesn't have to be me, but that is important that you toss it out there. Was lucky enough to have somebody give me theirs last week. Thanks for tuning in, Recoups and 01 Agnes. Thanks for tuning in. I'm doing pretty good. It's been I'm feeling a lot better than it was Thursday. I had my second Corona shot and was not feeling good after that. But yeah, let's get into our news here. This is a monthly podcast. First we go over news, then we go over a little bit of attorneys. Really just want to get the word out there about fighting games, because the FGC subreddit just shut down, and it feels like fighting games aren't really getting the coverage that they need to have and deserve on mainstream sites. Really, I think Giant Bomb is the only site that actually talks about fighting games when they're not immediately being released, when they're not in the public limelight. And so want to put my 2 cents out there and put my voice out there in order to have that happen. But yeah, let's get into our news. We have Jinx.tv, that's Jinx with a G, brings us a story of where Hungrybox apologizes for sexualizing the latest Smash character, Pyrrha and Mithra. Not much to say there. It's kind of strange. I mean, you do have to be on your P's and Q's if you are sponsored, but obviously there are, and this is something that I think about a lot. You have the BioShock creator, Ken Levine. He was pretty shocked and appalled when people were doing Rule 34 of Elizabeth. But the thing is, if you design this Disney princess-esque character, people are going to do that. That's actually what Rule 34 and what Rule 63 or whatever it is, the other one. That's what happens, and it's especially in our digital world. It is moments after you release something. But yeah, it's also a little bit strange. I mean, you got to stay on your P's and Q's if you are sponsored, I guess, is the end of that story. But yeah, even it has been noted elsewhere that Pyrrha and Mithra, they have been altered from their original games and outfits to fit into Smash, because boy howdy does Nintendo like to do that. But yeah, speaking of Pyrrha and Mithra, Jinx.tv with another article. Smash Bros. Ultimate Update 11 includes patch notes from Pyrrha and Mithra. there was a showcase and Monster Hunter styled Mii fighter costumes coming Super Smash Bros. Not really going to go into that because Super Smash Bros. Is not my jam. But we do go from controversy to controversy. Another Jinx.tv article where, pull it up. Hashtag unban Nero, or Nairo rather. Wow, what's the, okay, I guess that's the site's form. Yeah, the former Smash Pro player was accused by Captain Zack of sexual misconduct with a minor. However, after illegally resolving said issues, he's looking to return to Twitch. I didn't realize that was resolved. But, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so he was a former Smash Ultimate player for NRG. He lost his sponsorship and permanently banned from competing. Twitch took down his channel. Let's see. And strangely, in this article, it says that other content creators did not have their channels terminated, but his did. At least one source here, Orion Rank, a Smash Ultimate, one of the Smash Ultimate's most renowned ranking systems, stated that Nairo would no longer be banned from being eligible there. So at least there's some movement there. Speaking of Hungrybox, we have a quote from him here. He tweeted that a response is necessary. He also shared a document that compiles the timeline of events. No, I did not mean to click on that. Yeah, but let's see. If this has been legally resolved, I'm trying to see here if there's an actual legal statement or verdict. Legally settling does not prove innocence in a legal sense. Okay, yeah, so it's still a bit murky there. Right. Okay. So there's the answer to my question, at least. This is resolved, but it's more of a quote unquote legal resolved than an actual is this person innocent? Is this person guilty type of thing? So the fallout of that continues. Street Fighter V also had a season 5, major season 5 deal where they added V-Shift, which is actually a defensive mechanic. That was one thing Street Fighter V was really missing, where they sort of took out defensive mechanic and everyone was just flow charting, resetting, high-low mix-upping, and it just didn't suit players like me, beyond a lot of other things that really were wrong with Street Fighter V. This is from a Jinx.tv article. Game Informer also went into it, but some time has passed. This is a monthly show, so we're not going to get the stuff as it is, but you can definitely tell about the patch notes and everything, V-Shift, damn being in the game. And getting to part of our top billing here. Guilty Gear Strive beta access extended after server issues, and then Guilty Gear Strive delayed until June 11th. And so, sort of the strange thing here is they said that they are taking in community feedback, but the thing is, we've known, I think there was a beta before this one, that nobody really likes these lobbies. And for some reason, they decided to keep these lobbies. And really, stylistically, I don't really have a horse in the race when it comes to Guilty Gear. I do like Arc Systems, and I do like Dragon Ball FighterZ a lot. But they're known for these lobbies, but the thing is, Guilty Gear is very stylish. Dragon Ball FighterZ is very stylish. Grand Blue, I assume, is very stylish, although I haven't seen much of it. They're a very stylish company with aesthetically, all of it makes sense. But the thing is, what we see with the lobbies, it isn't stylish and it doesn't fit in. If I look at Persona 5, that game is very stylistically all together. If I look at this game in the lobbies, I don't really understand what's going on there. Like, why is this pixelated? Like, I would understand if the lobbies were this thing of where, you know, you are this very Guilty Gear looking munchkin, and you know, you go up to another Guilty Gear looking munchkin, and you know, you have some emotes or whatever, just sort of like Dragon Ball FighterZ. I mean, I know some people had a problem with that lobby, but it at least stylistically makes sense. Here we just have some pixel art. I mean, and it would be one thing if they went all out and gave us pixel art of the entire cast and I don't know, maybe the entire game, and you would wander around and you'd be like this 8-bit or 16-bit or however many bits, something like Guilty Gear Accent Core. You know, you'd wander around like that, and that would just be a little visual spectacle for you. And thought I heard something, but I'm glad I don't see anything. But yeah, it's sort of strange. I mean, obviously, you want to take your time to make your game work. We saw that did not work out, or we saw the opposite of that with Cyberpunk. And I imagine a lot of people are not trying to pull off a Cyberpunk. But yeah, moving on, we still are on Guilty Gear here, another Jinx.tv article with Guilty Gear Strive beta tier list, and we have actually a couple of these, and this is interesting because normally we don't really get all that feedback on betas, but I guess the hype is really there because we've got a tier list for a freaking beta. But yeah, let's go into this because I am curious. I've heard various things about various characters like Giovanna not being all that great, but apparently she has what I think it's Roman cancels, and she's not that complicated, which is what they tend to do with newer characters. They're not complicated, but they still fit in and sort of are supposed to have the new players into them. Oh, and this is a tier list by the site staff, so maybe it's not that important. But we have other tier lists, so we can compare those to these. Yeah, so I did see a little bit of Maximilian stream, which actually happened to, I guess it's a bit of providence that I had tuned in then. But what was I going to say? Sonic Fox happened to fight him, and he was using Ramlethal, which is our first character here. In the S tier, we have Ramlethal, May, Soul, and Potemkin. In the A tier, we have Axel, Kai, Milia, Leo, Giovanna, and I don't know the guy's name, but the new Slayer, let's say it like that. And then the B tier, we have Zato, Chip, and I want to call him Dr. Bagman. That's not his name. His name is Faust. I think, well, those are both technically his name. But But I would say the interesting thing about this is the characters that are at the bottom are the characters that are really, really technical. Although this game is supposed to be less technical than Guilty Gear is normally, uh, I just assume with Zato, we're gonna see a lot of stuff as people get hit their hands on him. And Chip is quick but low health, so people aren't gonna do well with him. And Faust definitely, from the little I know, Guilty Gear, very strange character and a character that takes time and character specialists to work with. But they do go into it here a bit without it being a YouTube video, which is great for me streaming, so thanks for that, Jinx.tv. They go over the S tier, where Ramlethal has a lot of safe moves and strong mid-range game, and I mean, Sonic Fox is just a smart player, and I think he is currently what Justin Wong used to be, where you could really put him on a game early, or just watch what he's doing, and you'll really be able to tell what should be strong or could be strong. And Ramlethal was his pick. Soul Bad Guy has easy to execute and powerful combos. Potemkin's, I'm guessing that's punch range, and May's annoying dolphin pressure. And in the A tier, and the Slayer guy is Nagoriyuki. Initially the most hyped characters due to his time stop install super, Axel players seem to need more time to unlock. That's a typo, you should fix that. His full potential. Currently being played as a classic zoner archetype. Characters like Millie and Kai have flashy combos, projectiles, and mobility, however they lack consistent damage. Giovanna and Ryuki feels surprisingly good to play. Remain to be seen. And like I was saying before, they actually comment this themselves. While by no means bad, this trio will require more practice than the rest of the cast. Chip has the lowest health in the game, and by his glass cannon nature, makes him feel like a feast or famine fighter. On the other hand, Faust and Zato players have claimed these characters feel like gutted versions of previous iterations. And yeah, I mean, that definitely could be true, because with this one, the game is stripped back. I haven't seen anybody saying that this is a Street Fighter 4 09er situation, but it very well could be. And with their last two titles, Grand Blue Fantasy and Dragon Ball FighterZ, they have made ways for players who are newer or less skilled to enter the arena. So I haven't had my hands on it. I was busy moving last week. I know there was a beta, and actually I planned on buying it, but who knows? Maybe we'll get a new beta. Next up, the legendary Kyo Kusanagi joins the King of Fighters 15 roster, brought to us by Jinx.tv. Joe Higashi joins King of Fighters 15, again, Jinx.tv. Jinx.tv tells us that a Twitch leak confirmed 11 as the final Street Fighter 5 character. And so this is sort of weird, because 11 is the final Street Fighter 5 character, but he's a bonus character for people who are buying the season pass. But he isn't even a character, because he's like a mimic, where I think he'll randomly be a character. So I don't know. It seems like Street Fighter is doing this more and more, where they had promised us a new character in Street Fighter 4, and that ended up being a Bison doll. I don't even remember her name, but it was very disappointing, to the point of where Skullgirls did a parody of that, just because it was so lazy and boring. Esports brings us an article. King of Fighters 15 adds Andy Bogard to the roster. And Esports also tells us I Know is the final Guilty Gear Strive launch character. And so I actually put this in the title as our top news story, but we've been discussing it here and there, and it'll be broken up. So what came out of the fighting game Roundtable stream. This article from .esports, the Roundtable stream unveils new Cham Cham gameplay for Samurai Showdown, Chizuru Kagura for King of Fighters 15 and Tekken 7 DLC teasers. The name and motivations for the mysterious Polish Prime Minister character coming to Tekken 7 may have been leaked. This is brought to us by Event Hubs. So the Microsoft Store page, which is down or was down, but it was archived on Reddit. People caught it. A mysterious woman who rose to power quickly within Poland. Prime Minister Christinia. It's Christina, but with some Y's instead of I's. So, wow. Don't do that. Joins the King of Fighters Iron Fist tournament in order to take control of the Mishima Zaibatsu for her country. However, she also has her own motives for personal motives related to the Mishima family. This fits along with something that was reported by Ars Technica. And what they were saying is supposedly a character that would come after Kunimitsu would have some sort of connection to the Mishima Zaibatsu logo. The character is slated for March 2021 release, so I guess by the time we get to the next episode of One Punch Combo, we'll know who this is and you'll have your hands on her. Our next news item, Mike Hayes retires from Super Smash Bros. Melee. .esports brought us that information. I'm not sure why, but you can try out Street Fighter V on PS4 for free this month. I understand it's free, but you probably want to play something else. I've heard it's fixed, but I can't support Capcom after their whole disrespect of fighting games and the fighting game community with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but to a lesser extent Street Fighter V. Actually, I went and listened and saw all of Matt McMuscle's What Happened series, and he has both Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and it's just kind of a shame, but you can really see why Capcom no longer the fighting game kings. But yeah, that's brought to us by .esports. SNK drops King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited match on PS4 and PS5. That's brought to us by .esports. Ranked match and player match both have rollback netcode, which is probably the only thing you care about if you're a fighting game player. Luminosity re-enters Super Smash Bros. Melee and signs Ginger. That's a .esports article. Moving on to Event Hubs, they bring us the patch notes for the Dragon Ball FighterZ update that will add SSJ4 Gogeta to the roster. And there was SSJ4 Gogeta showcase. So you can probably go to the archive and check that out. Arc System Works explores options to add rollback netcode to previous fighting games after positive feedback from Guilty Gear Strive and Accent Core. Brought to us by Event Hubs. And this is huge. Actually, I was in the Kinda Funny stream and I mentioned that Strive had rollback and that people should check it out. But this is huge. I mean, this is really the thing that fighting game players want, and it's what they need. We don't have tournaments anymore with the pandemic, so it's really cool that this is going to happen if it happens. And actually, I need to go ahead and buy Guilty Gear Strive just to support this. I would buy Accent Core, but I have a feeling people are just going to kick my ass in that one. Skullgirl's balance update includes brand new moves for Eliza and Robo Fortune to go along with substantial mechanic changes. That's brought to us by Event Hubs, and it seems like they're really going back to Event Hubs. They're really going back to Skullgirls here in a major way. I don't know what it is, but maybe getting Mike Z out of the way, they were really able to finally make some progress without that toxicity and possibly controlling personality. It is kind of wild that Skullgirls is finally getting its season 1 pass, and this is years out now. Huh. And with this, it seems like one of the changes is that they actually added blood mechanic. Eliza originally, when they pitched her, said she would have a blood mechanic, but she didn't, and now they're adding it. That's kind of crazy. That's currently in beta. But moving on. Any of the Stars beta release is now available, and new content is being developed by former Lab Zero staff. Those of you who don't know, I mean, we covered it on the podcast, but Mike C told everyone to quit if they didn't like being at the company, so they all did, and they formed a new company without him. All definitely good for them. And let's get into this article here. Yeah, so this is a PC beta. Yeah, so it sounds like Hidden Variable is doing it, but they are having the old crew help out. Okay, Annie's full release is scheduled for early May, and a Nintendo Switch version after that. So the new company that spawned out of the putrid corpse of Mike Z's company, Future Club, is working together with Hidden Variable to develop Skullgirls. So that's great. I mean, so often we see people, if you don't like it, quit, or if there's some sort of circumstance that they need to deal with, and these people really took the initiative, and I'm sure it must have been scary, but they were in a toxic environment. They left and they created their own environment, which is, I definitely support on a very personal level. All right, and moving on. So there was an I Know and Angie Mito move breakdown stream plus Guilty Gear Strive Q&A session. So you can check out Event Hubs or whatever archive that's in if you want to check that out. They also had some gameplay trailers at NGPX. MVD releases final version 10.1 tier list and Snake matchup chart for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Apparently, there's some sort of Adventure Time thing on HBO Max. Tier list and Snake matchup chart. I think I missed that in my head. Anyway, let's go over the tier list. This might be a bit outdated since we're in the Pyrrha and Mithra age, but let's do it anyway. Top 10. Joker, Wario, Pikachu, Zero Suit Samus, Peach, Daisy, Palutena. This is a different tier list than the last time we looked at tier lists, which was last month. Is this has to be Ultimate, right? Yeah. Okay. I guess a lot of things changed. Wolf, Pokemon Trainer, Game & Watch, and Snake. The LOL tier, which I'm assuming is bad. You have Lucario, the Belmonts, the Bowser Jr. Is that his name? I can't even remember. King DDD, How the Mighty Have Fallen, Ganondorf, Little Mac. Okay, this is probably is legitimately the bad tier with Little Mac there. What is the dog's name in Animal Crossing? Isabelle, Dr. Mario, and Kirby. That is a real tier, Jacob. Huh. It's crazy. I guess they really put in some changes this year or this month, this patch. You can now own Ryu's smiling mug on a poster or hoodie with the Fortnite Cross Street Fighter official merchandise available to purchase. My only real commentary here is it's really weird to see Ryu smiling. And it's also really weird to see a Shinkiro artwork featuring Street Fighter and Fortnite characters. An interesting one here, Event Hub story. We still have to develop our games with Wi-Fi users in mind, which is what they were talking about at the developer roundtable. So it is interesting to think about, but that being said, my real request here, obviously, if you can put rollback in, it is good, but just tell us who has Wi-Fi. The last game I played that did that was Injustice 2, I think. Just tell us who has Wi-Fi. So if we're a discerning fighting game, gentle man, gentle woman, gentle person, we can politely decline that and move on to someone who's wired, so we can make sure all of our hits count and everything like that. But that is interesting to keep in mind, because of course they do have to keep in mind wireless connection. They don't want to have to put some disclaimer on the back of the box saying, if you're wireless, you can't play. No other game's going to say that. And the people who are serious about it, they shouldn't be playing on Switch, but they should have a wired connection. The people who really value that. I know I definitely do. Just a little bit of interesting tidbit there. Rewind releases Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate tier list with only one character in the Dookie category. Again, we're getting really creative with the low tier category names. And the best tier, which is the top tier on this one, we have Cetrion, Liu Kang, Jackie, Fujin, Joker, Johnny Cage, and I have no idea who that is. I think that's Jade. I'm really sorry if anybody, I know we don't have that much viewership, but if anybody actually pays attention to Mortal Kombat, the characters look so different now because they changed them. I have no idea who these people are. Like, I did not recognize that Shiva was Shiva until I actually saw a picture with the name. But anyway, the Dookie category is Shao Kahn, which is pretty disappointing. Right above that, we'll go over just because there weren't that many results. We have, I'm guessing that's Sonya, RoboCop, and Rambo. So it really seems like your DLC characters are not great. Your guest DLC characters. So it's always interesting to look at the tier list to see how characters fare and compare those tier lists. At least that's what I think. Lord Knight gave his impressions of the Guilty Gear Strive beta roster. Um, excuse me. He said it's not a tier list. Describes Soul Bad Guy as very easy to play and strong, as which is what we heard from the Jinx.tv tier list. Uh, he says Kai Kisuke is okay. There is more, but it's a video, so you have to check that out through Lord Knight if you want to know more. But yeah. Uh, Mars puts Zero Suit Samus in the booty butt cheeks category in his latest Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tier list before ceasing with the meme. So again, we have another tier list with some very creative naming conventions. In the broken category, which is the top, we have Joker, Pikachu, Wario. I'm forgetting the guy's name. The I'm Feeling It guy from Xenoblade. Palutena, Peach, Wolf, Roy, Pokemon Trainer, Lucina, Pac-Man, and Snake, and Booty Butt Cheeks, which is the bottom, Dr. Mario, Little Mac, Jigglypuff, and Ganondorf. I feel really, I don't care about Smash, but I feel really bad for Little Mac because I think he's always been bad because they had the idea, hey, let's introduce a character who has no air stuff in a game that is largely air stuff, even air recovery he does not have. King of Fighters 15 producer Yasuyuki Oda reveals that SNK has been working on implementing an internal rollback netcode solution. So again, this is pretty hype information, and hopefully they do so. I'm a big fan of Samurai Showdown, and I do plan on supporting SNK because they've been very generous and stuff. So hopefully King of Fighters 15 or whatever else, they can make that rollback. So this is specifically for King of Fighters 15. I'm kind of remembering something though. I believe when I was listening to Coffee and Combos, they had said that the net code was going to be similar to what people remembered from Samurai Showdown or King of Fighters 14, which I guess is technically true since they haven't come up with a solution for rollback. But it is interesting that they are pursuing this other stuff, rollback, even though, and they're not settling on their laurels here. Let's see, another article by Event Hubs. Wireless connections for Tekken 7 matches actually increased on console after the game added a Wi-Fi indicator. This is from Event Hubs. So that's actually interesting. I mean, as the kids say nowadays, you do you, but yeah. Hmm. So in the Event Hubs article, they do mention that because Tekken has upgraded netcode, that maybe people feel more comfortable playing wirelessly. That is interesting, but I still think they should push for wired. But I guess that goes back to even the earlier article we discussed where they said they have to keep in mind wireless players. And this is probably why, because there's such a large majority of the actual people playing. And I can see that. I mean, as a kid, the one thing that I wanted most really was getting a wired connection and not being wireless, so I could actually play stuff online on my system. But as a kid, you don't have money, so you would have to buy a router and all this other stuff. Whereas with wireless, that's all through your house. And if you really wanted to, you can put your cell phone on a hotspot status and play that way. I mean, obviously not recommended. You're going to be missing some frames and making some people mad, but some people would rather play that way than not play at all. All of the current Skullgirls DLC characters are free for everyone, now with the latest update ahead of Annie's arrival. Autumn Games has released a new update for Skullgirls Second Encore that now bundles all previous DLC characters into the base game, with giving existing owners access to them for free on top of some more changes made for the game to prepare for Annie's arrival. Also, it seems like Skullgirls is on sale for $10. Uh, Season pass is $30 for a limited time. How much is? I guess the season pass is like 40 or 50. Huh. Justin Wong releases a Guilty Gear Strive beta tier list. So, important to remember here is that Enji Mito and Aino were not playable, so I don't know why they're on this tier list. But anyway, beyond that, we have. Is this even? Yeah. So the tier list at the S tier, we have Potenman, May, Milia, Ramlethal, and Axel. So a bit of a difference from the Jinx.tv one, but of course Justin is a pro, and I would definitely give his opinion a little bit more credence. And I don't even know if this is part of the tier list, because at the bottom it says doesn't feel complete, and under that he puts Giovanna and Nagoriyuki, which, I mean, is a fair statement if you really believe that, but does that mean they're bad? It seemed like people were getting on with Nagoriyuki. I know people were saying Giovanna isn't there yet, but she's a newer character, and I'm, at least from what I've heard, I'm guessing she's more nuanced than anything. But anyway, going back to the A tier list, the A part of this tier list, we have Zato, Soul Bad Guy, Kai Kisuke, Leo, and then the B, we have Chip and Faust. So interesting stuff there to see that tier list. And again, it's kind of weird to see a tier list of a beta, but I guess it's just that hype. I was in a stream earlier. There was, I'm forgetting the person's name, which is horrible, but they were doing, what was it? They were doing Tatsunoko versus Capcom tournaments and talking about how we haven't really had a new fighting game. A lot of fighting games are updating, which I don't think is strictly true, but, the fighting game that really people get super duper hyped for, I don't think we've had, and that's a fair assessment, because a lot of course with the pandemic, but a lot of people are sort of holding back. I mean, I definitely from what the industry scuttlebutt I've heard is we would have been on Street Fighter 6 by now if not for the pandemic. Also, Ono was unsuccessful in making Street Fighter 5 that made sense, so they decided to prolong Street Fighter. I just said Street Fighter 5. I meant Street Fighter 6. So they decided to prolong Street Fighter 5 instead of making Street Fighter 6. Nemo released a Street Fighter 5 Season 5 V-Shift tier list. So this was a little bit in the past. Let's see. Oh no, it actually is current to when V-Shift came out. Um, so this is specifically for V-Shifts, not an overall tier list, but let's go over this. S tier V shifts: M Bison and Jury. A tier Chun Li. I don't like hearing that. D tier Dalsim and Kage. Dalsim makes sense in that the fact that he's not really supposed to have a way to get out. Because you have to play very carefully and he's fragile, or at least he was. I know his Street Fighter 5 version is kind of weird. Um, Kage, I assume, high risk, high reward, cannon, blah, blah, blah. I haven't played him, but I just assume that's why. But interesting to see. Everyone else seems to be in the middle, so I'm not going to go over them. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. Street Fighter V's active player base doubles on PC following Street Fighter, Season 5's launch to make it the most popular fighting game on Steam. So I think this goes back to what I was saying in that people are really hungry for fighting game hype and news. Everybody's making do in the pandemic, but there's nothing like a new fighting game and a new trailer and a new event to go by. Going to another news story here. Season 1 pass for Skullgirl's second encore announced will include any of the stars and 3 other fighters. This story is by Event Hubs. But something else we get is the digital art compendium and soundtrack. I already have the soundtrack, but I'm guessing... it does say updated. So let's check this out. The second fighter you should expect before the end of 2021. We'll have to wait until 2022 for the third and fourth challengers. So it seems like this definitely is going to be paced out. So Annie's going to have a new stage and story mode. Seems the team is open on the idea of releasing a 5th character depending on how well Season 1 pass sells. Depending on how well Annie and the Season Pass does, we hope to add even more free stuff to the Season Pass list, including a 5th brand new character. So that's interesting. I wonder if they're saying that the 5th character is going to be free, or they're saying it's as part of the Season Pass, it'll be an additional bonus. But I wonder if it's Season Pass only, or if it'll be free for everyone. We are still working on the details for this, but if it does come to pass, we will also be exploring ways in which players can participate in the selection process. So we did end up seeing, what am I trying to say? We did end up seeing a lot of characters as part of their Kickstarter campaign. Well, really, it was an Indiegogo campaign. They weren't actually on Kickstarter. But in that, we actually saw characters for 3 Skullgirls games. So it'll be interesting to see. And I guess it is kind of interesting what they're doing right now, in that, are we just going to keep Skullgirls all one game and not move on to Skullgirls 2 and 3? but I imagine we're going to revisit some of those characters who did not make it in, who were voted in. But it's interesting. And if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor and look at the characters that we were given and the Indiegogo and to vote for, because it basically revealed that, this is a Skullgirls trilogy and that there's a story for a Skullgirls trilogy. So get some more, what am I trying to say? Get some more insight into that world and everything like that. And, the Alex Ahad art, of course, is beautiful. Skullgirls Encore, second Encore and previous DLC discounted to $10, which we went over before. Season Pass is $30. Each new character will add 25 plus character palettes. I mean, that's overkill, but hey, if they want to add, it's not my thing. Maybe people are into that. Season 1 characters are purchased $10 each, so definitely want to grab that season pass if that's your jam. But also it's discounted currently, so yeah. Latest Street Fighter V patch is unplayable for blind gamers as a result of changing sound from stereo to mono. This is a VentHub story. I'm actually not going to go over it because they've apparently solved this and it has been noted multiple times, but it's a shame that that was in there and that various players were unable to partake for a period of time. Event Hubs and has another story. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus 2.4 patch notes released. Leffen releases tier list for Guilty Gear Strive beta that depicts his early impressions of the roster. And so we have in the S tier, and he also includes that the game feels very balanced on his tier list. S tier is Soul, Bad Guy, Ramlethal, and Potemkin. A tier is Leo, Zato, Milia, May, Giovanna, Axel, Kai. B tier is Chip, Faust, and Nagoriyuki. So we are definitely seeing some shared DNA between these tier lists. In the lower tiers, I imagine people are going to do some work in the lab and the character specialists will get their hands on them and we'll go from there. So there's a potential infinite combo for Dan in Street Fighter V, discovered by Desk, of course. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. I do remember Maximilian mentioning this quite recently. So apparently it's in there. So infinite your heart out, and especially it's a Dan infinite. So there's going to be hype and salt from certain people with that. Fighting EX Layer, another dash announced for Nintendo Switch with new gameplay systems. I do remember Coffee and Combos. This is brought to us by Event Hubs. I do remember Coffee and Combos talking about this, though. Another fighting game podcast you should check out. And they had said that they're taking out rollback netcode. Yeah, they're taking out rollback netcode. So I would not invest in this Nintendo Switch port. I know people go crazy over Nintendo Switch games and games being on Nintendo Switch, but this is not the one. And we talked about earlier, Cham Cham trailer was shown, and there's going to be a Guilty Gear collaboration for their Season 3 pass, which is interesting. Not every Guilty Gear character can fit in Samurai Showdown, but you imagine some, maybe they give Kai a medieval makeover and put him in. But you could also have like Baiken pretty much instantly fit in. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. SNK vs. Capcom Match Millennium available for Switch, and a Neo Geo Pocket Color compilation coming, brought to us by Event Hubs. And we already mentioned the King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited match, but a limited collector's edition is coming this spring, excuse me. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 producer shares warm message to fans of much beloved crossover for the game's 10-year anniversary. So this isn't much of a news item, but I thought it would be good to put out there, considering Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and the fact that the producer Nitsuma, he was considered failing at his job to hit sales numbers. And he actually released a comment that Marvel was hard to work with when I was listening to Matt McMuscle's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite What Happened video. He had remarked that. He's still invested in fighting games and the love that people show that title in particular. They tried to make a game that could be played for 10 years, which, since it's a 10-year anniversary and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is dead, they've achieved. Nitsuma left Capcom in 2020. Right, it's just looking to see if there's any more there. But that was just a little interesting tidbit, I thought. Infiltration released a Street Fighter V tier list before the update. You've got Seth, Akuma, and Rashid at the top, and Ryu, Nash, and Falk at the bottom. Interesting. So the tiers have definitely shifted, but of course that's outdated itself. So Hungrybox shares his 2021 Super Smash Bros. Melee tier list updated for online play. Of course, this is an online play tier list, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have in double S, Fox, Marth, and Falco, probably surprising no one. At the F tier, you have Pichu, Bowser, and Kirby. Seems like Kirby is doing really bad lately. Brought to us by Event Hubs. MK Leo releases new Byleth matchup chart in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, story from Event Hubs. Tokido, Mago Fudo, and Japanese pros released their final Street Fighter V Champion edition Season 4 tier list plus combined power rankings. It was a mouthful. Geez. So this is a lot to click on. Let's see. So Mago. Oof. How can we do this? Okay, Mago in the S tier. Mago has. We'll just go over the top and the bottom. Well, Mago's bottom is really big, so we'll just go over his top. At the top of Mago's list is Irian, Guile, and Abigail. And with Tokido, we have Irian at the, well, actually there's Japanese text, so I'm not sure what that means, but he's at the top of the tier list. Irian, and right under that is S with Abigail, Guile, Akuma, Colin, Minot, Poison, Seth, and Chun-Li. And next up we have Gachi-kun. We have Guile, Colin, Abigail, Cammy, Irian, and Poison at the top. And we sort of have a combined list here with at the S tier we have Urian, Guile, Seth, Abigail, Cammy, Akuma, and Colin at the top. Poison and Colin at the top. And another combined list here. We have double S, absolutely elite. We have Urian at the top, and at the bottom we have Ryu. So it's no wonder that we don't see. What am I thinking of? We don't see our boy playing Ryu, and he swapped to Guile, but I know that was some time ago. Mighty Fight Federation is now available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC, with more crossover characters coming post-launch. So this was a little bit of an interesting one, especially as you see people saying they want Power Stone and those sort of games released. Here we have one. So this is a game for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, and Switch for European players. And it actually has a rollback netcode. This is it's sort of an arena brawler like Power Stone. And it does have crossover characters like Toe Jam and Earl, Ukulele, and an ad just popped up. I'm trying to figure out where I was. And Kunio and Riki from River City Ransom previously announced. So this might be worth checking out if you really are into the Power Stone type stuff. And because we have not heard Capcom say Power Stone in a million years, might be worth checking out. Twitch added a Marvelous Capcom 4 category to list of games, but it's probably not time to panic yet. This is brought to us by Event Hubs. Obviously, before I even go into this, you probably know Marvelous Capcom 4 is not a thing. But I just thought I'd mention it. It's really weird. This apparently has happened before with Bloodborne 2. I mean, I'm sure this has happened a ton of times. Yeah, and it seems like most likely looking at this, uh, anyone can add something to Twitch, so it may have been somebody trolling. So in this article, we do go over a leaker saying that Marvel's Capcom Infinite, and this kind of makes me laugh, was being reworked and updated behind the scenes with the ultimate goal of rebranding as Marvel's Capcom 4. They should not do that. As we've seen with Anthem and with Artifact, companies do not want to go back and do that. Final Fantasy XIV was a special case, and since they didn't want to put money in the first place with Infinite, why would they do this? And a former EVO champion from Marvel 3 said Marvel's Capcom 4 would be on the way, but 2 years passed before anything happened. So probably not true. And really, if we're going off of that and we want to give the benefit of the doubt, what they were talking about for Marvel's Capcom 4 was probably Marvel's Capcom Infinite. And that's it for our news here. That was really a heavy news section, but a lot of interesting stuff. Thanks for tuning in, Repined. We'll go over a little bit of tourneys here. Not too much was happening, but there's still definitely going to be tourneys. And actually, like I just said, there's apparently a new player. How do I want to phrase this? New player Tatsunoko versus Capcom tournament scene. So if you like to do that, you should check that out. It was, I can't remember the name, but it was on Twitch. I would actually go and find it, but my computer will probably mess up the streaming stuff if I try and look for it. But it was on Twitch, and apparently it's on Sundays. But yeah, let's go over our tourneys here. Daigo Umehara wins Capcom Pro Tour Season Finals with a broken finger. This is a Jinx.TV story. So if you ever doubted this man's dedication, you can't anymore. And with that, we have the Capcom Pro Tour season to the 2020 season final results. Smash World Tour 2021 schedule, format, prize pool, and more. That's a Jinx.TV stories. And the Smash World Tour circuit is returning for 2021. 200,000 in prizes. So, I mean, that's great, but Nintendo is known for being weird about their online presence. So hopefully they let that actually happen. Smash Bros. Ultimate to honor Pokemon 25th anniversary with limited time tournament is brought to us by .esports. We Play Esports and Dash Fight launch Ultimate Weekend Brawl. That's a .esports story. So this is a recurring series that will take the traditional tournament format and make it resemble an actual title card event. Dash Fight and We Play are launching Weekend Brawl, which is what I sort of already said, which will feature Mortal Kombat 11 as its first title. There will be prizes. Huh. So that's sort of interesting there. Winners will receive $300 for undercard matches, and main event winner takes home for $500. So yeah, if you are Street Fighter 5, if you are Mortal Kombat 11, you may want to check that out. We Play Ultimate Fighting League Season 1 to feature Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat, and Soul Calibur 6. So you should check that out if it's your jam, brought to us by .esports. Winter Clash 2021, we got the results, early results, but it's probably, let me click on this before I speak further. Yeah, it's probably a done deal there. Winter Clash results are up on eventhubs.com. Street Fighter League Pro US Playoff results on eventhubs.com. Street Fighter League Pro Japan 2020 results on eventhubs.com. And that's about it. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is a monthly podcast, One Punch Combo. We film on the first Saturday of every month. I know it's Sunday, but I was busy yesterday. There's also filler episode and anime and manga podcast. That's a weekly podcast on every Saturday of the month. If you want to know about anime and manga and my reviews, then you can check that out. But that's about it for this podcast. As always, thanks for tuning in.